Hey everyone, you guys made it just in the nick of crime. We just did a midday recap not that long ago, and here we are doing the end of day recap because the trial has already court has adjourned for the day. Now, as always, for my TikTok family, thank you guys for being there. You guys got me to over 10,000 likes before I even got on this live, so I don't know what to ask y'all to do for me other than hit that follow button. Instagram, YouTube, y'all hit the follow button as well. If you missed the end of the day recap, no matter what, and Facebook too. If you missed the end of the day recap or midday recap, know that it is on YouTube. The Substack notes have already been sent out, so you can recap yourselves on either one of those platforms for the midday. We're going to be focusing on the end of the day recap here for this one, what happened for the trial and what we can expect going in tomorrow and Friday. Because apparently the witness that's going to be going on the stand, hopefully tomorrow at some point in time, hopefully earlier in the day tomorrow, she's going to be on the stand, they believe, all the way through Friday. And prosecution currently says that they are ahead of schedule and they might consider cutting a couple witnesses, and we'll talk about that as well. So real quick, just so y'all know, like I said, hit the follow buttons if you don't already. YouTube, know that these are always recorded there. There is a Sean Diddy Combs playlist, as well as you can always go to the most recent lives and get caught up. But let's go ahead without getting too much into what the midday was. The person who we left off that was testifying at the time of midday before they went to lunch was Deonte Nash, who is a celebrity stylist. And he had worked for Bad Boy Entertainment for Sean Combs and Cassie for about 10 years. He was subpoenaed to testify, did not want to testify, but did it anyways. And he's been providing stuff that he's been providing has been very, I'll just put it this way. It's definitely helpful to the prosecution's case. Let's just put it that way. Now, that being said, let's pick up from where they left off when they got back from lunch. So, coming back from lunch, Nash started out talking about a brutal incident in 2013 at Cassie's apartment when she was packing for the OVO festival in Toronto, which we've heard Cassie talk about that festival before. Nash and other stylists and other alleged that was the Drake show. Nash and other stylists and another alleged Combs victim, who is referred to as Mia, who we're going to be hearing from probably tomorrow, spoiler alert, were present. Nash testified that Combs entered the apartment in a rage and screamed at Cassie, saying, quote, "Bitch, didn't I tell you to answer the phone?" He then grabbed her by the hair, pulled her off the couch, and started hitting her. Nash said that he, Cassie, and Mia ran into the bedroom trying to lock the door, but Combs forced it open. He continued attacking Ventura, hitting and kicking her until she struck her head on the bed frame. That's where she got the gash. Nash and Mia jumped on Combs' back to stop him, but he threw them off. According to Nash, Combs only stopped when he saw Ventura was bleeding. He said that he panicked. How about Diddy? He panicked when he saw blood. Combs allegedly looked at them and said, "Look what y'all made me do. Look what y'all made me do." He attacks her because she didn't answer the phone. And he's like, "Look what y'all made me do." Jesus Christ. Anyways, Nash dialed 911 and was told to hang up. He couldn't remember who said it. Combs then arranged for Ventura to visit a plastic surgeon, accompanied by his security guard. Nash later saw Ventura on a video call with a stitched eye gash on her eyebrow, which she styled her hair to the side, basically to hide it. Nash testified that during their years working together, he witnessed Combs threaten to release explicit videos of Ventura. One time after another fight, Combs told Ventura he would release the videos on schedule, starting by sending them to her parents' workplaces. Ventura was in tears. Nash then told her to let Combs. When Nash told her to let Combs release them, she replied that Combs wasn't in the videos. She had filmed her with other men. She said that she didn't want to have S with the other men, but she did it because Puff wanted her to. Then things changed, and Combs became violent towards Nash. And he recounted instances of that violence turning on him. He said in 2013, during a music video shoot for Cassie, Nash said he stepped outside to smoke a cigarette while Combs approached him, threw him against the car, and began choking him. Combs was reportedly furious with Nash that they had gone out clubbing with Ventura, saying, "I thought I told y'all about going out wildin'." On another occasion, Combs allegedly assaulted Nash after finding them together. Nash testified Combs pushed him and Ventura out of her own apartment and berated them. Nash said Combs hit him in the back of the head, pulled his shirt, and yelled until they left. Then, according to Nash, Combs routinely searched Ventura when she tried to escape his control. Once Nash's boss, Derek Roche, told him that he'd given Combs his address. Nash dropped Ventura off at Sunset Boulevard before Combs, his security guard, and Roche arrived at his home. Nash and Combs aggressively searched his house, even looking in an oven for Cassie. After discovering that Cassie was a nearby hotel, Combs then ordered Nash to drive there and get her. Nash complied under pressure, and along with Tony Fletcher, they went up to Ventura's room. Nash then testified that when Ventura saw them, she threatened to jump off the balcony rather than go back with Combs. Nash eventually fled the hotel, believing he was being followed. When he returned home the next day, his iPad, his ID, his iPad, and $1,000 in cash were missing. Nash said he frequently saw bruises on Ventura's legs, arms, and neck. Testified that during the premiere of The Perfect Match in 2016, he FaceTimed with Cassie and noticed she had a black eye. He later saw her at the event and confirmed the black eye was visible even under makeup. Nash also noted that Combs was physically possessive of her during the premiere, grabbing at her side. In 2015, Nash said he saw Combs slap Ventura across the face outside a music studio and yell, "Get this bitch out of here." Ventura was in tears, and Nash led her away. Nash then recounted a disturbing pattern where Ventura would regularly pack a black duffel bag filled with S toys and be taken to a hotel for what Combs was calling the infamous freak-offs. Ventura did not want to go, Nash testified, but did so because he wanted her to. On her 29th birthday, after an argument at dinner, Ventura reportedly told Nash Combs was angry that she didn't want to go to the hotel without him to participate in one of those sessions. Let me pause here for a moment, okay? Because I think that, remember, Nash, and I'm going to go ahead and spoil something for y'all. Nash has no ill will towards Diddy. Despite all of this, he says it's just not his nature to carry like hatred or anything like that. So, and you're going to find out a little bit more as we go on, but he has no ill will for him. He did not want to testify. He's only doing it under subpoena. Okay. He was really good friends with Cassie until, he wasn't allowed to be. And for all those people who last week or a couple weeks ago when Cassie was testifying, say, look at this, she wanted to be part of this. She wanted to be in these freak-offs. Look at the text message. Look at that. Look at what she said. This goes to show that what you see on the surface, don't ever take things at face value, because this is another guy. He's got no reason to lie. There's nothing for him to gain by doing this, saying, hey, she did not want to go. She didn't want to do this. This is what happened. She did this because of him, because he made her. And I think that this is a really important topic that we need to talk about, or we need to at least address, because so many people, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, if you are sitting here at this point in time defending what happened to Cassie, basically saying that she participated and that she was a willing participant, she consented to all of this, then one of two things are occurring here. One of three things. Either you yourself are an abuser, because there's a lot of men saying things like this. You are willfully naive or ignorant and don't want to educate yourself, or more than likely, you are privileged by not having been in a relationship where you have to endure extreme abuse, because there are certain things that are trauma responses, which is what you see from Cassie. How many people have we heard from in the last few weeks talk about, outside of even just Cassie, talk about the extreme violence that befell her from Sean Diddy Combs. He beat her. She's lucky that she's alive. It was so brutal. All right. She's lucky that she's alive. And so I just want to address that and make that very clear, because she was not a willing participant. She could not just leave. And we learned today, based on something that the fire chief said, that a fingerprint card that was from the police department, this was earlier today, it's in the midday recap, that was in the police department, got destroyed, that was supposed to be used to help in the arson. And the LAFD person, Jimenez, was basically saying that typically we have to sign off on these things, and it was just destroyed. I mean, the unspoken thing that's being alluded to is that he paid somebody off to get rid of this in the police department. So when you can't go to the police, the guy's got endless money, he's threatening to make people disappear, he's beating the crap out of you. What options do you have? And he can literally go anywhere and find you and bring you back. What options do you have at that point in time? You don't have any options. So I just wanted to address that real quick. Now, Nash said that he never reported the abuse he witnessed out of fear of retaliation, which is, again, a typical theme that we see with Diddy. His chief of staff, Christina Coram, was aware of the violence. She told Nash that she would talk to Combs about it, but nothing ever changed. Nash reflects then on his relationship with Combs. He said, despite everything, Nash said he still speaks to Diddy occasionally, has not filed a lawsuit, or never has requested money. When asked how he feels about Combs now, Nash said, I don't hate him. It's just not in me. He remains close to Cassie, and they still speak regularly. Now, from here, let's talk about what we have. We have a few more things going on. So from here, we went, well, I'll put it this way. Maureen Comey is the one who was doing the questioning, and she wrapped the prosecution's direct examination, and then the jury was dismissed for a brief recess. Now, Nash is scheduled to fly back to LA today. So the government asked the judge for permission to extend the court session past the usual 3 p.m. adjournment time, because that's what time it's been getting out. And then the defense attorney, Xavier Donaldson, agreed to the request, and the judge indicated the jury had already been informed they might occasionally go as late as 4 p.m. So that gives you guys an idea also, is that we should be having these end of day recaps, hopefully not too much later than that 3 to 4 p.m. mark once we get these things together. So just so y'all are aware. Now, immediately following the recess, the defense will attempted to challenge, or their attempt is to challenge the credibility of Nash's statements and potentially weaken the impact of his testimony, which I would say, if you go back, especially and look at the midday recap as well, was pretty explosive. So cross is up. Xavier Donaldson began cross of Deonte Nash, pressing him on whether he had any financial motives for testifying. Nash confirmed, again, that he had not filed a lawsuit or sent a demand letter to Sean Combs. When asked if he was considering a civil suit, Nash replied bluntly, saying, no, I'm just focused on getting out of here. He didn't want to be here, and he made it very clear. He has no interest in money. There's no financial gain. There is no benefit for him to do this. He still talks to Cassie. He still occasionally talks to Diddy. He doesn't want to be here, but he's doing it anyways. He followed up by asking whether Nash had retained legal counsel for that purpose. Nash clarified, I have counsel to protect me. And added, I don't do federal court. The court then turned to Nash's career trajectory. Donaldson pointed out that Nash first entered the entertainment industry through an internship with Bad Boy Entertainment, effectively suggesting that Combs played a role in launching Deonte Nash's career. Nash did acknowledge it and was very nonchalant about it and said, go ahead. Donaldson then explored Nash's professional involvement in Ventura's personal life, including the fact that Nash helped her select her wedding dress for her 2019 marriage to Alex Fine. When Donaldson referred to Ventura as Miss Ventura, Nash corrected him, saying Mrs. Fine. So good for him, by the way. The moment carried extra weight, as he had just as the news had just broken at that point that Ventura and Fine just had their third child. For those of you who didn't know, we talked about it in the midday that Cassie did welcome a baby boy. We don't have a lot of details yet, but everybody seems to be doing well. Just Donaldson also tried to minimize the control Nash had attributed to Combs by pointing out that music labels often have a vested interest in how their artists present themselves publicly. Nash acknowledged this, stating sometimes, yeah, when asked whether it was important for the head of the label to ensure that artists look good. Then going back to that 2013 assault in Cross, he resumed his testimony talking about, we talked about this, I talked about jumping on the back. He also explained that he physically intervened, jumping on Combs' back. He did to protect her, but also to protect him from doing something more serious. Then Nash confirmed substance use. Under Cross, Xavier Donaldson asked him about that, and Nash admitted to having seen Ventura use substances in her home, specifically naming Molly and X. He also testified to his own green leafy substance use, stating one of his meetings with federal prosecutors had to be cut short after he told him he had had some of the green leafy stuff prior to the session. Nash said, remember, it's also legal in California, which is where he lives, and I think it's legal in New York too. In testimony that also highlighted Diddy's control over Ventura's appearance, Nash stated that Combs didn't approve the styling or appearance of any other Bad Boy artist. He did micromanage Cassie. All right. When asked the question whether or not if Diddy took the same approach to some of the other Bad Boy artists, he said, not that I know of. Some of them adding that some of them look terrible. Most of the artists kind of did their own thing, with the exception of Cassie. Then they found out the baby. Nash congratulated her on the baby, said he called her to congratulate her after he found out, because she had the baby yesterday. Then then basically that was kind of the end of cross for the day. So defense, so Nash, I believe, is going to be coming back tomorrow. He was supposed to be getting out today, but I think he's coming back tomorrow, based on this. But Agnifilo raised concerns about the limitations his team is facing in communicating with their client, saying that due to restrictions at the Metropolitan Detention Center, the Brooklyn MDC, Agnifilo requested the court allow them to use a courthouse room until 10 p.m. And the judge responded with that he would discuss that request with the appropriate parties. Basically, what they're wanting to do here is they're wanting to make sure that they have time, adequate time, to talk to Diddy, Sean Combs, about the defense, about things going forward. And let's be real, what we learned yesterday is that Diddy is kind of the one running the show. He's the one that's helping the lawyers make decisions on what's going on here. He did that with Kid Cudi in one of the questioning things. And that's probably what this is about. And to be very fair and honest, as the United States of America, we as the public can go ahead and assume, what we assume in the court of public opinion has already judged him. I know that I have, but at the same time, when you're trying to follow constitutional law, he deserves the right to a fair trial. And part of that is his lawyers being able to have conversations with him. That's just the bottom line, whether we like it or not. So anyways, then the jury was dismissed for the day shortly after the cross-examination, which will resume tomorrow morning. Maureen Comey told the court, though, that she expects Mia, which is the name so Mia's not the real name for those of y'all who might not have been following this. Mia is a victim of Diddy, alleged victim of Diddy. She's going by an alias to protect her real identity because she's scared. She's terrified about going on the stand and doing this, but she's doing it anyways. But allegedly, Mia is one of Diddy's former assistants, an alleged victim. They're expecting her to be on the stand at least until the end of Friday. So we can expect her going into the end of the day Friday, possibly into Monday the next week. Prosecution also said that that the government is ahead of its expected trial schedule. She said they're planning to cut some witnesses from the lineup and still aim to rest their case by end of the second week of June. So it's possible it could extend into the following week, but that's kind of what the goal is. So that's where everything is. Hold on a second. Somebody asked a question. I want to address this real quick on Instagram. Somebody asked, did Dinner for Lawrence and Mark Wahlberg testify today? There was another profile on Instagram. So Danica asked a good question. And Danica, I promise I'm not picking on you when I say this. So there's a lot of names that are coming out when it comes to this entire thing. Jennifer Lawrence has been a name that's been named. J-Lo's been named a lot. We know that she dated him. Oprah's been named a lot. Mark Wahlberg, which is the first time I'm hearing it. None of that is real. Okay. When you have cases like this, very big cases like this, a lot of people are very opportunistic, and here's the thing: views equate to dollars, right? Engagement equates to dollars, and you get paid out whether that information is real or not real. And to be very frank with you, the fake stuff travels faster than the real stuff. Although in the Diddy trial, as I've mentioned before, it's so bizarre. You don't really even need to make up stuff for this, but people are. They're just trying to basically bait you into following these really big names. And it puts a lot of misinformation out there. So those names are not true. That somebody do that. And this happens with every case. It happened with Gabby Petito. People trying to profit off of it. It happened during the Idaho 4. People trying to profit off of it. It happens with every major case that you see out there. And it's unfortunate because those people, in my opinion, are vultures. There are people out there who are really trying to give real information, myself included, multiple other creators. But what I would say is, even with my stuff, I'm not always, I do my best to give you guys the right information. Sometimes I might leave something out on accident. Sometimes I might give wrong information, not on purpose, but sometimes it happens. So even with me, it's never wrong to fact check just in case. It doesn't happen very often, by the way, but it does occasionally happen. And when it does, I always acknowledge it and fix it. But there's a lot of people who don't. So always make sure when you hear a name like Jennifer Lawrence or Mark Wahlberg, you can Google it to see if there's any truth to it, because something like that would be all over the place. Kind of like the rumor that was like, oh, Obama and Diddy have the same dealer. That would be everywhere. And it was just simply not true. Or that, what was it that Prince, or the alleged Prince audio that said that if something ever happened to him, release this because Diddy had something to do with it. That was not real either. People are literally just making this stuff up. And the challenge when you're dealing with a federal trial like this is that since you're not able to watch it live, you have to go off of transcripts and what news outlets report. It's feasible for somebody to believe, or not really be able to check as well of what's going on because you just can't see it. So So that's all I'm going to say. Like I said, I'm not trying to pick on you. I just wanted to kind of explain that. I think it's a really great, thing to chat about and just remember everything that's kind of going on. Now, that being said, if you came in late to this, whether it's on TikTok, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook, or even YouTube, this is on YouTube. The notes have already gone out on Substack. Basically, the notes that I make for myself that I read from when I give you these updates, I put those on Substack as well. If you want to follow there or on YouTube, these lives always are there for y'all to look at. If you come in late, you can't catch them when they happen live. It's always a good time for you guys to be able to go there and take a look and check things out. So that being said, that's what we have for the day. We'll be back tomorrow with more updates. Drop your thoughts or questions and comments, of course. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. I appreciate everyone being here, and have a great night. I can get this thing. There we go.